The first day she appeared in public with her 3 daughters, the whole town froze. People stopped mid-step, mouths half open, eyes glued to them. 3 identical girls, skin smooth as polished stone, eyes wide and knowing, as if they had lived another life before this one. They were dressed entirely in crimson. Red from head to toe. Red wrappers, red beads, red shoes. Even their small headscarves glowed in the same fierce shade. At first, most assumed it was just a style. Perhaps their mother had a taste for bright colors. Maybe she wanted people to notice her children. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks stretched into months, the girls were never seen in anything else but red. That was when questions began. Some whispered behind hands, others laughed quietly, a few only stared in silence, but most grew uneasy. In Oba-Ama, no one had ever witnessed such a thing. And no one dared ask directly, except one. Mama Ima, the town's skilled weaver, called out to Blessing one hot Thursday at the riverbank. "So, is red the new uniform in your house?" she teased. Blessing, the girl's mother, turned to her slowly. Her expression calm, but her eyes carried a depth that made people pause. Not sorrow, not anger, just something heavy, difficult to name. She answered simply, "I do what I must," and walked away, her daughters trailing silently behind her like shadows. That single exchange spread through the town like fire. Everyone had an opinion. Some mocked, some grew curious, and others feared. For Blessing had not always been like this. She was once known as the happiest bride in Oba-Ama. Married at 20, she was soft-spoken, respectful, and filled with hope. Her husband, Oba-Ama, was a modest trader, hard-working, and hopelessly in love with her. Their first year together overflowed with dreams. The second was full of prayers. By the third, the quiet in their home grew too loud to ignore. "Still nothing?" her mother-in-law asked one morning while pouring palm oil into her pot. Blessing only shook her head. "We're still trying, Mama." "Trying, the older woman muttered. "That kind of trying only leads to gray hair. Don't let your silence ruin my son's future." Blessing went to her room and wept into her wrapper. At family gatherings, the murmurs began. 3 years, not even a miscarriage. Oba-Ama is young. He can still find another before it's too late. Oba-Ama defended her at first. "She's my wife. We're praying." But slowly, the family's words began cutting at his heart. By their 5th year, he stopped singing in the mornings. He no longer played with her hair. At night, he turned his back and fell asleep early. Blessing watched him fade like smoke under rain. She tried one last hope. She traveled to the city for hospital tests. Blood work, scans, all results clear. The doctor told her there was nothing wrong. She returned home, told Oba-Ama, and he only nodded. "Okay," he said flatly. By the 6th year, their home was thick with silence. Her in-laws grew impatient. Oba-Ama himself changed. One evening, while she cooked yam porridge, his mother stormed in. "You've wasted all your eggs," she snapped. 6 years in this house, not even a miscarriage. How is that possible? Blessing said nothing. She had already said everything in years past: prayers, hospitals, prophets, fasting, herbs. Nothing had worked. The following month, Oba-Ama made an announcement. "My mother is bringing another woman." Blessing's knife froze in midair. A leaf slipped from her hand. "You will not be chased out," he added quickly. "But you must accept her." Blessing didn't shout, didn't cry, didn't throw her pot. She only turned to look at him. For the first time, she didn't see her husband. She saw a stranger wearing his face. She said nothing. The next week, the new wife arrived. Her name was Ioma. Young, with bright eyes and a loud laugh. She walked like she had never known hardship. She called Oba-Ama "sweetheart" in front of Blessing, entered the kitchen without asking, wore short wrappers with heavy perfume. Within 2 moons, her belly began to swell. "See how fast she takes seed," neighbors exclaimed. One aunt came visiting, looked at Blessing and said, "This is how God works. When one tree is dry, another bears fruit." Blessing remained silent. That night, she folded her wrapper, packed her clothes into a single bag, removed the wedding photo from the wall and placed it face down. She tied her hair, walked into the parlor where Oba-Ama watched the evening news. "I'm leaving," she said. He didn't look at her. "Okay." She stepped out. The sky was gray, the air heavy with the smell of burnt dreams. "I will not stay where I am mocked," she whispered. She walked to her father's house, the place with cracked walls and smoky firewood air. The place where her story began, and the place where it would change. Waiting inside was Mama Nnedi, her stepmother, the woman Blessing blamed for everything. That night, the house was silent, but Blessing couldn't sleep. The walls creaked as if they remembered old secrets. In the morning, Mama Nnedi knocked. "Wake up. We need to talk." Blessing came out, wrapper tied, eyes swollen from pain. "Go see a herbalist," Mama Nnedi said. Blessing blinked. "What?" "Not doctor, not pastor. Someone who understands beyond the body. Your problem is more than the eyes can see." Blessing's face hardened. "No. You want to finish what you started? Just like you killed my mother and stole her place in this house. What are you saying?" Mama Nnedi's eyes widened. "You think I don't know? The way my mother died, the way you slid into her place like wind. You think I killed her?" The old woman trembled. "She died giving birth to you. I raised you. I clothed you. You did it for my father, not for me," Blessing hissed, storming back into her room. "I only go to pastors, not your charms." Mama Nnedi stood frozen, chest rising, eyes wet, but she said nothing more. That night, Blessing lay on her bed staring at the ceiling. The silence inside her weighed like stone. She didn't know yet that her journey to freedom had already begun, but she was walking in the wrong direction. A full year drifted past like dry harmattan wind, long, heavy, and empty. Then one Sunday afternoon, fate stirred. Blessing met a man. His name was Chisholm. He had come from Enugu, tall with gentle eyes and a soft, steady voice. He was a contractor working on the new church foundation near the town square. Their first meeting was at the market. Blessing bent to pick up an onion she had dropped, but his hand reached it before hers. When she lifted her gaze, their eyes met. His smile was quiet but kind. "Are you from here?" he asked. Blessing only nodded. After that day, they began to see each other often, by the stream, near the church site, along the market road. Chisholm never pressed with questions, never looked at her belly, never asked about her past. He only said, "I want to know your heart, not your history." 6 moons later, they were married. No loud ceremony, just palm wine, prayers, and family gathered close. Blessing moved into his small but neat house. The walls smelled of new paint, the room simple but filled with warmth. For the first time in years, a genuine smile returned to her face. 3 months passed, then 4. One morning, she woke with a strange feeling. She touched her belly. Something was different. She went to the clinic. The nurse looked up and said softly, "You are pregnant." Blessing sat frozen, her hands trembling, tears rolling silently. Not fear, not sorrow, but a sweetness too deep for words. She ran home and told Chisholm. He lifted her and spun her around like a child. Soon, he painted the spare room sky blue, bought a new mattress, and even a baby cot. Each morning he knelt beside her belly, praying, "God, keep this joy. Protect our child." Blessing bought small clothes, soft socks, tiny blankets in red. At 6 months, her belly was full like a drum. At 7, one morning, blood came. She screamed. Chisholm rushed her to the hospital. Nurses hurried. Doctors tried. But the baby was gone. The sun dimmed that day, refusing to shine. Blessing was carried home in silence. She lay on the bare earth behind the house, her wrapper stained, her arms wrapped around her stomach. Her body shook soundlessly, like thunder without rain. Then footsteps approached, slow, steady. Mama Nena. She sat beside her. She didn't reach out, didn't say sorry. She only whispered, "Please, come with me." Blessing blinked through tears, then nodded. Not because she believed, but because her spirit was tired of fighting. They traveled to Achi, a quiet forest community on the Ali border. Deep within the bush stood a hut. Its owner was an old herbalist, his body frail but his eyes clear. He listened as Blessing poured out her story, from beginning to end, without interruption. Finally, he stood, opened a leather pouch, and brought out 3 white cowries strung on necklaces. Blessing frowned. 3, she asked. The man nodded. Your womb has been rejected by the world, he said. Blessing gasped, clutching her stomach. But not by spirits, he added calmly. He placed the cowries in her hand. Next time you carry life, speak to no one. Not even your husband. Do not whisper a word. And wear red wrapper, red bedsheet, red plate, red candle. Red will guard the life inside you. And when the children come, dress them only in red. Every day, without change. Put these around their necks. Never remove them, not when they cry, not when they sleep, not for anything. Blessing stared at him, her voice small. Children? You mean a child? I said what I said, the herbalist replied. He turned away. The meeting was done. Mama Nena rose slowly. Blessing remained seated, the cowries hot in her palms, before finally following her stepmother back through the forest. That night, she tucked the necklaces under her pillow and lay awake in the dark. No prayers, no tears, just waiting. 2 moons later, her monthly flow stopped. Blessing counted the days, her hands pressed to her still flat belly. She said nothing, not even to Chisholm. She simply nodded when he asked, "You okay?" By 3 months, her back ached. She moved slower, slept more. Still, she spoke nothing. At 4 months, she went alone to the clinic. The nurse spread cool gel across her belly and moved the machine. Her eyes widened. "Madam, you are carrying more than one." "Twins?" Blessing whispered. The nurse looked again. "No. Triplets." Blessing's breath caught. Tears spilled down her cheeks as laughter broke from her chest. Sweet and warm, like honey. The nurse stared in confusion, but Blessing didn't care. She remembered the herbalist's words, silence, and read. She went home quietly. She bought crimson wrappers, scarlet nightgowns, red plates, red candles, even a red sponge and red sheets. Each night she prayed in red, each morning she gave thanks with red powder pressed to her palm. By 5 months, Chisholm noticed. "You no longer eat what I cook." She smiled faintly. "Just cravings." "And why all this red?" he asked. She kissed his cheek. "Don't worry. It helps me." At 6 months, her belly swelled like a calabash brimming with palm wine. At 7, her waters broke. The hospital was far, but the children wouldn't wait. On the bed at home, with Mama Nena and a young nurse beside her, the cries came, 1, then 2, then 3. 3 girls. Identical. Small mouths, wide eyes, voices like rain on a zinc roof. Blessing cradled them all at once, arms trembling, body weak, eyes wet with both fire and water. She whispered their names, Favor. Amarachi. Nancy. She tied red beads on their wrists, slipped red socks on their feet, and hung the white cowries on their necks. From that day forward, they wore red every morning and every night, as if it were their skin. The town of Oba-Ama didn't know yet. But something had entered the world that night, something heavy, bound in silence and color. The girls grew quickly, like maize after good rain. Favor was first to walk, Amara first to talk, Nnedi first to dance. Their laughter filled the yard like bells, bright and sweet as ripe fruit. Yet always, red. Red blouses, red wrappers, red shoes, red head ties. Even at school, red bags. Red in church, at weddings, at funerals, when sick, when well. Around their necks, the same white cowries glowing like tiny moons. People noticed. Why always red, some asked. Is it a charm? Perhaps she made a vow in the forest, others whispered. Some mocked, some feared, some avoided them. The girls held hands when they walked, one left, one right, one in the middle, like three red flowers from one stem. In school, teachers grew curious. Maybe let them wear white on sports day, one suggested. My children wear red, Blessing replied firmly. But they all look the same. How will we tell them apart, another pressed. That is how it must be, she said simply. Not once did she ever explain. One hot afternoon at the stream, the girls sat on a rock, feet in the water, wrappers tied tight, beads glinting in the sun. Women nearby washed clothes, children splashed. Then one woman muttered loudly, "These ones look like spirits. Too quiet. Too clean. Too red." Blessing stood. She didn't answer. She only called her daughters with her eyes. They rose, took her hands, and together they walked away like shadows refusing to leave. From that day, the whispers grew sharper. But so did the silence in Blessing's chest. She alone knew what no one else could understand: the red was not for fashion, not for vanity. It was for survival. Years flowed like a restless river. The girls no longer looked like little children. Their voices deepened, their legs lengthened, their eyes grew sharper. Yet the red remained. Primary school ended, secondary followed, and now university. Still, red every day, red skirts, red tops, red shoes, red scarves. Around their necks, the white cowries dangled like whispers from another world. At first, they didn't complain. They were used to the stares, the nicknames, red sisters, blood girls, spirit triplets. But inside, questions began to grow. Sometimes at night, Favor would glance at her mother and ask softly, "Mama, why must it always be red?" Blessing, busy washing dishes or folding wrappers, would only say, "When the time comes, you will know." Another evening, Amara asked timidly, "Can I wear pink instead?" Just once. Blessing didn't even look up. Her voice was steady. "When the time comes." Nnedi tried to lighten the silence. "Mama, what if the market runs out of red? Will we walk naked?" Blessing turned her gaze toward her daughter, eyes heavy with meaning. No answer came, but the look itself silenced Nnedi. So they waited. But life didn't wait. One morning, Favor received a call, an invitation for a job interview at a multinational firm in the city. It was her dream. On the day, she wore her neatest red dress, her cowrie necklace shining. At the reception, the secretary frowned. "Sorry, ma'am. That necklace doesn't meet our dress code. You can't go in with it." Favor tried to explain. "It's part of me. I've never taken it off." The woman shook her head. Rules were rules. Inside the interview room, they barely let her begin. She returned home broken, crying into her pillow. Blessing wiped her tears, but still said nothing. Nnedi, the creative one, had her own chance. She was invited to showcase her art at an international exhibition. Investors, dignitaries, and collectors would attend. She painted night and day, pouring her soul into canvases. On the big day, she dressed in her red gown, necklace gleaming. Whispers followed her through the crowd. One man frowned, muttering, "This is offensive. In my culture, red with cowrie is a burial color." Soon, organizers quietly removed her name from the showcase. She sat by the river that night, staring at the moon, tears painting her cheeks. Then came Amarachi, the gentle one, always laughing, always soft-hearted. She met Kofi, a young Ghanaian man, tall and warm, who loved pepper soup and long walks. Amarachi loved his smile. They sat under trees, speaking of dreams, of freedom, of love. But every time his eyes fell on her red dress and the shell around her neck, his face clouded. One evening, after dinner, he took her hand. "Amarachi, why always red? Why the shell? You're beautiful, but people talk. If we are serious, maybe it's time to let it go." That night, Amarachi lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The questions hammered inside her. Why? Why red? Why cowrie? Why silence? She whispered to the night air, "Mama, when is the time?" But the house gave no answer. She sat before the mirror, fingers grazing the cowrie, eyes fixed on her reflection. What if I don't wear it tomorrow? Will anything really happen? Maybe Mama just made up stories. Her hand reached beneath her bed, pulling out a hidden bag. Inside was a simple navy blue dress, untouched, waiting for years. She had bought it in secret, just in case. Slowly, she removed the red wrapper. For the first time, her neck felt bare without the shell. The air touched her skin strangely. Her heart raced, but her lips curved into a smile. She twirled in front of the mirror, whispering, "So this is freedom." She stepped outside. The sky was soft, the breeze kissed her cheeks. She took one step, then another. By the 10th step, her legs trembled. Her body jolted violently. She crashed to the ground, fingers twisting, eyes rolling back. Her lips turned pale. Her body convulsed like a leaf in a storm. Neighbors screamed. Feet ran. "Call her sisters," someone shouted. "Bring water." A man touched her forehead. "She's burning." They rushed her to the hospital. The lights were bright, but the air was heavy with dread. Amarachi lay motionless, machines beeping beside her. Nurses moved quickly, doctors checked her vitals. One doctor pulled off his gloves, shaking his head. "Her body is fine. No injury, no disease. But something is pulling her away." Outside, Favor and Nancy ran in, slippers slapping the floor, eyes swollen. They burst into the room. "Mama!" Nancy cried. "What happened to her?" Blessing stood silently at the bedside. Her wrapper was plain, her feet bare, her eyes fixed on Amarachi. On the bed, Amarachi's fingers twitched. The monitor beeped faster, then slower. Beep. 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 Then silence. The screen line flattened. One long tone. Beep. Amarachi was gone. Nancy collapsed to the ground, wailing. Favor clutched the bed frame, screaming until her voice broke. Nurses turned away, unable to watch. Blessing did not cry. She did not kneel. She simply looked at her daughter's peaceful face, like one resting under a tree. Then, in a voice soft but steady, she whispered, "You are free now." Favor spun toward her, eyes blazing. "What?" Nancy stood slowly, tears streaking her face. "Mama, what are you saying?" "You're free," Blessing repeated. Favor shouted, her grief turning to fury. "We just lost our sister, and you're saying we're free?" Blessing's gaze was heavy, her voice calm. "She was the gate. The herbalist told me." "The gate?" Nancy whispered, confused. Blessing drew a long breath, as if she had carried this secret for decades. When I gave birth to you three, I returned to the herbalist. He congratulated me, then gave me a warning. He said one of you would one day be the first to remove the necklace, the first to abandon Red. And when she did, she would die. But through her death, the others would be released. The room fell silent. I didn't know who it would be, Blessing continued, her eyes wet. I prayed it would never come. But now it has. And the bond is broken. Favor dropped to her knees. So Amarachi was the sacrifice. Nancy clutched her necklace, trembling. We lost her, just to be free. Blessing nodded, her tears finally spilling. She paid the price. She set you both free. They laid Amarachi to rest the following day. The air was thick with sorrow, but also something else, a strange quiet, as if the earth itself understood the price that had been paid. From that moment, the Red disappeared. The daily uniform that had once defined them was no more. The cowries, once tied firmly around their necks, were placed carefully inside a wooden box, sealed tight and kept at the foot of Blessing's bed. Favor began dressing in jeans and bright blouses, clothes she had always admired from afar but never dared to wear. Nancy, bold as ever, dyed her hair a golden brown and wore colors she had only dreamed of. Life gradually flowed back to them, though the wound of Amarachi's absence never healed. Every year, on the day she died, they honored her. From head to toe, they dressed once again in blazing red. But this time, not as prisoners of silence, not as a curse, but as remembrance. A remembrance of the sister who bore the cost, the one who gave her life so that the others could finally breathe freely. And so, the triplet story changed. The whispers in town faded with time. The fear, the curiosity, the gossip, all slipped into memory. But inside the hearts of Blessing, Favor, and Nancy, Amarachi remained. Not in sorrow alone, but in gratitude. Because freedom is never free. It is always purchased. Sometimes with tears. Sometimes with years. And sometimes, with the life of one who loves enough to open the gate for others. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what lesson you learned. Don't forget to share with friends and family, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more African tales just like this one. Thank you.